Um, I remember going to my grandmother's funeral, and it was in a Catholic church in New York, and I was raised there, but I walked in, and I was, I'm a pastor, and the priest there was a young priest, and I said, it's my grandmother's funeral, can I say something? I mean, would that be all right to say something? He said, absolutely, absolutely, which is really huge. I mean, this guy was really extending grace to me and saying, yeah, you can stand up there and talk even though you're not Catholic. And I did, and I got up and I spoke about my grandmother's life and her impact on me. And then I sat down and the side story, my cousin and all our family was there. My cousin was there, but he was there in chains with federal agents. And he was sitting toward the back because they brought him in for my grandmother's funeral. Because he was one of the top drug dealers in the state of New York, and was top. Yeah, well, he's in prison for killing his bodyguard and distributing his body around the state. But that was my cousin. That's cousin Jimmy that I grew up with. But he was out just for the funeral in chains. I'm sitting there with Teddy on the front pew. I got up. I spoke about my grandmother. I sat down. Well, then they were taking communion at the front. And so I was on the end and I was on the front, and the priest stood behind the table. And he just stood there. And I'm sitting there, crud. I'm on the end, I'm on the front pew. What do I do? Do I get up? Do I go to the front? Is he waiting for me? Is there something that I didn't know what to do? So I said, okay. I stood up and I looked at Teddy and went, we all stood, the whole row stood up, walked to the front of the table, and he looked at me and he went, golly, I missed it. And he said, I'm sorry. He said, but you're not Catholic and I can't give this to you. And I went, don't worry, I'm good. I just go sit down. But everybody else came through, and he gave communion to them, including cousin Jimmy in chains.
Wow.
I was like, wow, man. But I didn't know what to do.
No soup for you. No soup for you.
No soup for you. But everybody, here's the thing. We all got this internal language. We've all got these codes and the way we do things, and you gotta blow those up when you think about guests and
out of love for people. Look at this. Jesus' mission was to seek and save the lost. You know the scripture, the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. The next page 38, the Bible commands us to be sensitive to unbelieving guests when we worship. Colossians 4, be wise in the way you act toward those who are not believers, making good use of every opportunity. I think one translation says, to those that are outsiders. Try to get too soon, man, we get this inner language that you're talking about, and we want to do everything we can to avoid that. Went to a funeral one time, and it was way back in the country. It was one of our staff persons, like grandfather died or whatever, and I'm from South Georgia, but I really hadn't been to a funeral at a town this small. I mean, it was real country. There was like banjos playing and stuff like that, And I thought I'd mess with Jennifer a little bit. They had an open casket down the front, and I'd never seen this. People started getting up and walking up to the caskets, kind of like to say their last farewell. Anyway, I leaned over to Jennifer and I said, hey, it's the tradition here. You're supposed to kiss the body. She looked at me like, I'm out of this place, man. I said, no, I'm just kidding. But we didn't know what was happening. You got to do all that you can. The love for people will carry over, and it is contagious. So you want to break down any artificial barriers.
Yeah, and this number 3 there, I'm going to start driving fast. Realize that lost people are looking for a reason to leave, not a reason to stay when they visit your church. They're coming suspicious. They're looking for something that I don't fit here. This is weird. I'm out. So you've got to remove the barriers. It takes unselfish people to reach the lost.
Yeah.
You've got to choose God's purpose over personal preferences, and we reverse that in the church all the time. It takes unselfish people to reach the lost. You've got to give up your agendas and what you want And that's one of the things that I love, love, love about the Springs. They are forever saying, you know what, we'll give up our personal preference. We don't get it. We don't, you know what, might not be us, but we know it's reaching people. And we're going to keep reaching people because most people who go to church here know this. That whole phrase, we're going to make it hard to go to hell from Ocala. How do we do that? What do we do? And there's a process of change because our people know change. We've changed a lot in 16 years. And the process is change, pain, growth. Change, pain, growth. Most people stop at the pain and never experience the growth. And you've got to push through the pain and the change and the uncomfortable parts and say, you know, it's not about me anymore. It's about people that are far from God. And we've got to create this service. Walking through how to design it practically. You got to plan it with your target in mind, the people that you're trying to reach. There's something in the box there that is huge. Older, unchurched people will tolerate the music of younger people more than younger people will tolerate the music of older people. You would be blown away if you came into the Springs and you saw the Springs on the weekend. Some of you've been here. We got hazers going, we got lights going, it's loud, and you would be shocked by how many senior adults are here. And every time I get a chance to talk to some, I go, can I just ask you a question? Why are you here? This isn't your music. It's like barely my music. It's just, why are you here? And every single one of them says something like this. I'm here because of the life that's here. I've been in the dead places, and it's not about me. I love the young families, the kids, and the people coming to Christ, and I'll give up my personal preference to see that any day. And that's when you build that in the DNA from the ground up, you get to build that culture, and people will follow that. They understand it. They see it. So you got to create that. Quality music is why don't we drive right to
number three? No matter what style worship you have, this is going to help your church improve the pace and flow of your service. If churches just did that alone across America, they would have a higher quality.
Yeah. How do you guys do that?
Well, just with roll-ins, with the countdown clocks, we just try to be ready and not the Dr. Death walk across the stage. We just want to keep everything. And it takes practice because you don't want to be or appear rushed, but you also don't want to lag. So you find that balance of keeping things moving at a good, comfortable pace and flow.
And there are so many great resources today to do this, like countdown clocks that we use here. Jim talked about roll-ins, and I just want to let you see that if that's foreign to you. Today there's so many of them out there. But people have asked about our set and our stage design, and Angela Hoffman, who leads our team, is got a booth out there, and she creates all of these worlds from children's ministry. If you haven't been over there to look around, go look around. She and her team of volunteers and artists and set designers, they create everything. Every series, we have a new set. It has a new look. This series that we're in right now, we're doing a series on Elijah. And that's why the blackbirds, the ravens are there. They're hanging, and so they've put these sets together. And I'll show you the roll-in. If you haven't found Life Church yet, go to lifechurch.com. Go sign up for Open. All of their resources are free. Everything. Craig Rochelle, just I don't know how many years ago, he said everything's free. Take our messages, our message transcripts, our videos, it's yours. Download it. It's free. And they have roll-ins with each series. And Elijah is a series from Life Church. And so we'll take the series and we'll create the messages using theirs and other resources. But just to kind of show you a roll-in that we got off, I think, guys, you got the roll-in for Elijah back there? Go ahead and run that. everybody, what happens is we'll have our worship set. We'll do, as Jim walked through his, sometimes we'll do 3 or 4 different, worship songs on the front end. We'll come out with a welcome time, fill out this Connect card. Everybody find this Connect card. We're so glad that you're here. And from that, typically we mix it up because it gets boring. Sometimes you want to mix up the service, but typically we'll stop and say, from that time, we'll say, you know what, and Ron's going to be teaching today on Elijah, and we'll be looking at a man of prayer or the power of prayer. And then, boom, as soon as he walks off stage, the band has already left the stage, he's off stage, the lights go down, that rolling comes up, they move in the table, they bring in the chair, they sit down, and when the lights come back up, we're into the message. And it's just this seamless flow that's out there. And you've got to create that in the service itself. You've got to create that.